On this day, the 26th of January, 1808, the Rum Rebellion began in the colony of New South Wales. The governor, William Bligh, was overthrown, arrested, and kept in prison on a ship for 2 years until a new governor that was sent out from London, Lachlan Macquarie. William Bligh was the man who was the captain of the Bounty, famous for the mutiny on the Bounty, when he and a few of his loyal officers were stuck onto a boat and had to row thousands of miles to get back home. It seems William Bligh had a habit of annoying people. Let's see why. In 1805, William Bligh was appointed the 4th governor of New South Wales. And remember, back then New South Wales included almost all of Australia, except for Van Diemen's Land. So it was New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland, South Australia, Northern Territory. It was very big. Very underpopulated though, and most of the people lived in and around Sydney. Joseph Banks, the very famous botanist who was on Captain Cook's ship when they went around the east coast of Australia many years before, well, not that many years, about 20 years before, was instrumental in getting Bligh appointed governor. Bligh was known as a hard man, and it was thought that they needed someone like Bligh to rein in the mavericks in New South Wales. It was a bit chaotic, the colony. It was very new at this time. 1805, it was 16, 17 years old at this point. So, now, Bligh has a habit of irritating people. On the Bounty, he was overthrown, and as I said, he was stuck in a boat with some loyal officers and sent off to his doom. Somehow he managed to survive that. But now he was sent off to Australia, and a man called Joseph Short was the captain of one of the ships in the convoy, and he was the captain of the main ship. Bligh was in the supply ship, and this led to arguments because Bligh thought he was in charge, which he was, but Short was in charge of the convoy because he was in the main ship. And so this led to arguments over who was in charge, and it ended up with Short ordering his ship to fire over the bow of the transport ship to get Bligh, Captain Bligh, to respond to his signals. Now, Bligh then went on to the ship. He arrested Joseph Short, and when they got to Sydney, he sent him back to London for court-martial. And he also rescinded the 600 acres that Joseph Short was supposed to have once he got to New South Wales. So, Short was sent home, and he's court-martialed, but he was acquitted. And the court-martial, after hearing all the evidence, they had some serious doubts about Bligh, and there were thoughts about bringing him back, rescinding his governorship. Sir Joseph Banks intervened, well, others as well, and they lobbied for him to remain as governor. They thought, well, it's a small thing, but turns out it wasn't. Now, Bligh, although hated by many, he did try to do some good things when he came to the colony. there had been various floods nearby in, I think, Hunter River area, and many of the farmers had lost a lot of livestock. And at the time, because the colony was so young, so new, they didn't have much in the way of currency or money. And so it was a barter economy mostly, using alcohol, liquor, as currency. But they also would trade as well. And so what Bligh did was he got together and looked at all the various, the numbers of livestock, and he divided them up between everyone and gave the people most in need the most. Now, this made him very popular with farmers, but the traders in the city who were making a lot of money out of this weren't happy. And they were even less happy when he banned the use of alcohol as currency, because there were some people, a few, who had a monopoly on liquor in the colony. So they were basically printing money. They did not want this man coming along and taking away their money. Now, another man who he seemed to annoy was a guy called John MacArthur. Now, he had substantial farming and commercial interests, and he quarrelled with not only Bligh, but his predecessors as well. He fought 3 duels during this time. So Bligh and MacArthur had clashed in many ways. Bligh stopped MacArthur from distributing large quantities of rum, and he also banned illegal importation of stills. And there was also some land interests where Bligh stopped handing out large tracts of land to the powerful in the colony, giving out only a small amount of land. So a lot of very powerful people were annoyed by him. He was also a bit dictatorial. He removed magistrates he didn't like. He imprisoned people for saying things he didn't like. So he was a bit dictatorial. So a lot of very powerful people were annoyed with Captain Bligh. And so, on the morning of the 26th of January, they came into Government House and arrested Captain Bligh. Let's see what happens next. After Bligh's overthrow, Major Johnson, who had led 400 soldiers into Government House, had notified the superior officer, who was in Van Diemen's Land. He was establishing a port in a settlement in Launceston. Now, Patterson he didn't want to get involved. He wanted to wait until he heard something from England. And at this time, another guy was coming to Sydney with orders to become the acting Lieutenant Governor of New South Wales. So Patterson was like, oh, I'll leave this guy deal with what's going on here. So Foveau, I think that's how to pronounce it, kind of French-looking spelling. So he arrived in July and took over the colony. And it's the 28th of July in 1808. So then, Foveau had thought that, well, yes, he'll keep Bligh under house arrest because things are a bit hectic here, and he turned his attention onto infrastructure, which he thought had been badly neglected. So, when there was still no word from back home, he summoned, so Foveaux summoned Patterson to Sydney to sort out matters. So Patterson finally came from Van Diemen's Land, and so he decided to send Johnson, so Major Johnson, and MacArthur, the troublemaker, to England for trial. He continued to keep Bligh in the barracks until he signed a contract agreeing to return to England himself. So, in 1809, Bligh was given control of HMS Porpoise on condition that he goes straight home. But instead, he went down to Hobart, Van Diemen's Land, seeking the support of the Lieutenant Governor there to retake Sydney. And the governor there was like, nah. So he remained in the River Derwent outside Hobart until the following year. So the Colonial Office, hearing about all of this, decided that maybe naval governors ruling colonies wasn't a good idea. So they recalled the troops in New South Wales and sent out a new group of troops. And they reinstated Bligh as governor for 24 hours, then recalled him. Johnson sent to England for court-martial, and MacArthur would be tried in Sydney. And Major General Lachlan Macquarie was put in charge of the mission to get out there and become the governor in 1810. So, Macquarie, when he came and took over, he pretty much did what Bligh had done before. He got rid of various judges. Apparently they were alcoholics as well. I think everyone in the colony at that point was an alcoholic. They're trading with it. And he replaced people with more competent people. He cancelled land and stock grants that had been made since the Bligh's overthrow. And he started sorting things out. So, Bligh, what happened to Bligh? Well, he went home and he was promoted. So promoted to Rear Admiral in the Navy, although he wasn't given any more commissions anymore. They just kept him kind of retired. But he was Rear Admiral, so he did quite well. But what is it about William Bligh? He seems to annoy everyone he comes across, and maybe we need people like that, because he seems to have been popular amongst the poorer, less powerful people in New South Wales. It seems to have been the powerful that didn't like him. So perhaps he wasn't all bad. Anyway, if you like these videos, come back for more tomorrow. Like, subscribe, and comment.